Hey, this is Sarah from Keto on the Rise, and I'm glad to be here again this week giving you an awesome keto recipe. Today we are kicking off the football season with a great game day snack that is totally keto. We are making beef and white queso nachos, and we're using max pork rinds as the nacho chip. Now, you are going to love how easy this is. Comes together real quick, and even if you're not a football fan, this is going to be perfect for tailgating at whatever event that you're going to. Having people over for a get-together, or just sitting around at home on Sunday watching your favorite team. This is going to be a touchdown. Let's make it. Okay, so I have started our beef and white queso nachos already by browning 1 pound of ground beef in a skillet. I drained the fat off of it, and now I'm going to add some taco sauce. And I found this La Tortilla Factory at the grocery store. It has 0 sugar, so I thought this would be perfect to try on our recipe. It is a liquid, has all kinds of nice Mexican flavored spices in it, and I'm just gonna add that straight to the ground beef. So, what's most exciting, I think, about this recipe is, of course, the white queso. We're gonna get that together. That's really what I wanted you all to see how to put together. You all know how to do ground beef, so let's talk about this white queso. This is the white queso that you order at the Mexican restaurant, and it sometimes goes by queso blanco or white cheese dip, that creamy white dip that you dip your chips into, and has all the green chilies and traditional Mexican spices. Well, that's what we're gonna do here at home. It's actually so easy to put together. So let's do it. While that is kind of simmering with our spices, let's do this white cheese dip. So you're going to start with white American cheese. So I actually just went to the deli, and we're going to use about 1/2 pound of white American here. And I'm just going to chunk it up and add it to a pot on top of the stove. So just chunk it up. So easy to find these ingredients for this white queso. Here is our white American cheese. I'm just adding it to the pot here on low. In with this, I'm going to add about 1/3 cup of heavy cream and 1 tablespoon of butter. And what we're looking for is all of this to come together and get nice and melty, and then we're going to add the rest of our components for this white American. So traditional queso blanco calls for these same ingredients with the exception of the cream. It does call for milk, and since we're making it keto, we're going to use the heavy cream. Okay, so we will let that get nice and melty. I'm going to pull you over here and show you the toppings for our nachos. Of course, loaded nachos means lots and lots of toppings, and I kind of stuck with the traditional recipe, but there's so many toppings and configurations you could make for nachos. Check out the blog post at ketoontherise.com. I have put some great alternatives to what you can do for your loaded nachos, but today we'll stick with the traditional, and this is what we're using for the toppings. Okay, for our traditional nacho toppings, we have a little bit of lettuce, and I've shredded it up real thin, and this just adds a good amount of some extra crunch factor, so you can see how thin it's shredded. I've got some tomatoes diced up. I've got some green olives, green onions, cilantro for that great cilantro Mexican flavor, some sour cream. I actually have a little bit of shredded cheese also to go with our cheese sauce, just for some pretty color and just for some different taste. I've got black olives. The green chilies are going to go in our white sauce, and the spices here are going to go in our white sauce. I also have some no added sugar salsa. My sister makes this salsa, and it is hands down the best salsa. If you want the recipe, I'll try to see if she can give it to us. So Hands down, best salsa. So these are our toppings. Oh, and I have an avocado, and I'm gonna scoop that out at the end and plop that on top too, an avocado. So these are our traditional toppings for our beef and white queso loaded keto nachos. Okay, while our cheese dip is finishing up, let's get our platter ready. So if you're having a game day snack and you're having company over, or even if you're just enjoying it with your own family, let's put it on a pretty platter. It makes everything better. And I'm using this Nora Fleming platter. I don't know if you've seen these or not. They're so adorable, but they have this hole here where you can insert these little decorative glass things here, and this one just happens to be a football. So how cute is that? Okay, so let's get our pork rinds on here. And for this recipe, I recommend just plain pork rinds. And I love Max pork rinds. They're not sponsoring me. I don't get any money by doing this. I just love Max. They have a great flavor and they're sturdy, crunchy, perfect for a substitute for tortilla chips. Now, this recipe, and I mentioned this in my blog, you could use low carb tortilla chips, put them in the air fryer, or even fry them yourself and use those. But I want to try to get the lowest amount of carbs in my dish as possible. And so that's why we're using the Max pork rinds. So we'll probably do about a half to, we'll probably do the whole bag. Let's do the whole bag. This is going to serve probably about 4 people, maybe 5 or 6, depending on how hungry everybody is. So we'll just get them out on our plate there. And then we are ready for topping this. Let me set this aside. I want to show you finishing up the white cheese sauce here. Once your cheese and your butter melt in your pot, you can pull it off of the heat. And this is almost completely melted. I'm gonna give it just another second. And what we're gonna add to this is a can of chopped green chilies with the juice. And we are going to add some spices. And so we've got a 1/4 teaspoon of cumin. We've got a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic salt and just a pinch of cayenne. If you don't like spicy, just leave the cayenne completely out. Okay, let's check out this cheese sauce. Looking good, looking good. You do want it to be melted, that way when you add everything, you're just about ready to serve. And so you want it to be nice and good and ooey and gooey. Look at that, so delicious. So this recipe, of course, is for this platter of nachos, but if you are just wanting to make this without all of the other toppings, just double or triple it. How delicious. Okay, so let's add these green chilies and let's add all of our spices. Get all of those in there. We're just gonna stir this around and look how delicious this looks. Oh, look at this cheese sauce. So yummy. Okay, I'm gonna put it back over here on the stove until we're ready to pour it over our nachos, which is gonna be just a second. Okay, let's put all of this together. See how fast this comes together. We've got our pork rinds on our platter, and we're going to add our seasoned ground beef. Just put that all over here. Like I said, this was a pound of ground beef, and I used the La Tortilla Factory seasoning, but you could use any kind of seasoning that you have. Make sure that you check the package because you don't want it to have a bunch of sugar. And that's why I chose the La Tortilla, because it was no sugar. Okay, look at that. It already looks delicious. Now I'm gonna do the cheese sauce next because I want that to soak into my pork rinds, making it all delicious and ooey and gooey. All right, now that we've got the cheese sauce on, go ahead and start loading up all of your toppings. Just put them on any way that you like to. It's going to be good any way you do it. And this is the end result. Beautiful plate of nachos. Thank you for joining me this week for another great keto recipe. You are sure to love this. Beef and queso, loaded keto nachos. Awesome for a game day snack or a get-together. Perfect for tailgating. I can't wait for you to try it. If you love this recipe and you're loving the recipes from Keto on the Rise, check out my blog, ketoontherise.com, where you can see all the recipes, see the YouTube video link, check it out on Pinterest, and print out these recipes as they are keepers. I hope this is a touchdown for you guys also.